So till now we have learnt enough theory. Let's get to the examples. So here, first example we are going to take is, we want to create a table which is tbl underscore student having 3 columns, which is student ID, in which we are going to store numbers, name, in which we are going to store string but up to only 10 characters, that means 10 characters or less. And third field is marks, to store floating point numbers. It can be like percentage or something like that. So here we can see, to create a table, syntax is create table, table name. So here our table name is table student, and in brackets we have 3 fields, which is student ID, name and marks. So now look at the data type. In first field we have to store numbers, so I took number data type. In second field we want to store string up to 10 characters, so what I've given is varchar 10. Why 10? Because we want to store a string up to length 10. And third is floating numbers, so it is float 1. Now the thing is, why we have written 1 inside the bracket in front of float. So that's the total different part, and it is a bit advanced. So I have attached resource as well. You can take a read on that. But here my intention is to clarify how to create table and what is the syntax. So this is the query. Let's execute this. Let's move to next example. So in this example we need to create stocks table having 3 columns, stock name, symbol and is underscore active. So what is the significance? Stock name is to store string up to 30 characters. Symbol is again string, but we need to store exactly 3 characters in this field. In third field is active, we are going to store boolean values, that means only yes or no. So let's think how we can build this. Yeah, so syntax is create table tbl underscore stocks, because that is the table name. In brackets, first of all 3 column names, stock name, symbol and is active. For data types, in stock name up to 30 characters, that means varchar 30. Now here I have written char 3 for symbol. What is difference between char 3 and varchar 3? Because we know that up to 3 characters we can store in varchar also. Then why I have written char 3? So both the data types can store up to 3 characters. But the basic difference is, when you store 1 character in varchar 3, it will take up the space for only 1 character. So if you try to find length of that character, it will show only 1. But in char 3, even if you store 1 character, it will show length as 3, because 2 empty characters will get appended to it. Even if you store 1 character or 2 character, in char 3 the length will always be 3, and in varchar 3 it is dependent. If there is 1 character, length will show 1 and so on. Now the third field is boolean field, so we'll simply write boolean here. Now let's try to execute this. When we try to execute this, we'll get the error saying invalid data type. So if boolean is invalid data type, then how can we store this boolean value? So it is very important point to remember that boolean is not a data type in Oracle SQL. So what we need to do is, we need to create boolean data type using inbuilt data types that Oracle has. For example, in this case we want to store a string value. Yes is a string, no is a string. So what we'll do, we can simply write varchar 3. Why I have chosen length 3? Because between these two values, yes or no, maximum length is 3, yes. So length is 3. That's why I have chosen varchar 3. And once table is created, we can restrict the user to enter only these two values in the table. That we'll see in next module definitely. But Important point is Boolean is not a Oracle SQL data type. Let's move forward to next example. Here we need to change the symbol column from table stocks. And what we want to do, instead of char 3 that we have defined earlier, instead of char 3 we need to convert it to varchar 3, because definitely it takes less space. So let's think how can we do this. So syntax is alter table name, modify column name, which is symbol, and new data type in which we want to convert that column. So it will be varchar 3. Let's move forward. Now here we need to create a table checkup having 3 columns: checkup date, checkup time, and is successful. Now here in checkup date we want to store only date, which is year, month, and day. In checkup time we need to store date as well as time, and is successful is Boolean, but this time we only want to store y or n, only those two. So let's think how we can do this. So syntax is create table checkup, in brackets we want 3 columns: checkup date, checkup time, is successful. Now to show only date we have date data type. For showing date plus time we have timestamp data type. And as Boolean is not present in Oracle SQL, so here we'll write char 1. Why 1? Because we want to either store y or n, only one character. So let's try to execute this, and table is created. Now let's quickly change the column is successful from table checkup column. Now what change we need to do is, again instead of char we need to change it to varchar. So let's think how can we do this. It is fairly simple. Alter table checkup, modify column name, which is successful, and new data type, which is varchar 1. Now in the next scenario we need to add the new column. Column name is check underscore status. It is again Boolean data type, but this time we need to store 2 values: complete or incomplete. Let's think how can we do this. So the syntax is alter table checkup, add. So here we have written keyword add for adding new column. Column name, which is check underscore status, and data type varchar 10. Why 10? Because we need to store a string, that's why it is varchar, and maximum length would be 10, which is incomplete. Now let's quickly see how to drop all the tables that we have created. This is fairly simple. It is drop table name. So we'll write drop statement 3 times with table checkup, stocks, and students. If we try to execute this, all the tables will get dropped.